second meeting to discuss of the Southeastern Cooperative School Board to order and hoist the flag, so there won't be any pledge of allegiance. I guess I'll go right to you, Adam, then.
Thank you. So I have a number of issues to update the board about. I'll be brief given our time constraint, but something that most people are worried about and is discussing is the COVID-19 coronavirus issue that's going on around the world. So I sent out a pretty lengthy communication to the community on Friday that included a lot of the information and things that we're doing internally. Some of the things that have happened since I sent that information out, I'll update the board about right now. First, as the board knows, there was going to be a school-sponsored trip to Southeast Asia. At the last minute, the school sponsorship for that trip was pulled back based on what was the concerns about the situation over there. Most of the students and staff members still attended because they paid privately, so there's nothing we could do to prevent them from going. Now that they've returned to the country, they are being asked to self-quarantine for 14 days per the recommendation of New Hampshire DHHS. That goes beyond the CDC's advice for us, but given where they traveled, including leaving Thailand, which is a level 1 travel advisory from the CDC, and then flying through South Korea twice, which was not on the CDC's travel advisory list when they flew there, but since it's gone to a level 3 on their way back. So they've been asked to self-quarantine for 14 days. In addition, we had one student and one staff member who separately traveled to northern Italy that we know about. We've asked them as well to do the same thing, self-quarantine for 14 days. We're engaging in custodial training this week on additional procedures for cleaning that we need to be aware of to increase our proficiency there. We're going to need to hire some temporary custodial support to ensure that our extra disinfecting and extra work is covered during this time. And so Michelle's working through that. We're also beginning to track, we already track attendance every day, but now we're consolidating that attendance from all of our schools into a dashboard so we can track and see if there's spikes in issues with attendance. And we also report to the state students with flu-like symptoms already, and so that's an easy additional thing to track for our school nurses, who are fantastic, as everybody knows. We have winter session for sophomores at Souhegan coming up in 2 weeks, with students traveling to places like Quebec and Washington, D.C. Our plan for those trips is to strictly follow the CDC's recommendations for travel advisories, and so we will be going on those trips. If there is anything that changes up to the day before the trip, then we'll make adjustments as needed, and we'll also work with families who don't want to go. We're not going to penalize any student who doesn't go for any reason. We may not be able to refund them if they don't go, but we'll work with our travel companies and make whatever we can do to support students in making those decisions. We have a trip over April vacation scheduled to go to Italy, similar to the trip we had last week, and I'm not ready to announce what our decision is quite yet about that trip, but we're looking into it and investigating that, taking it very seriously. As you know, Italy is a level 3 or level 4, depending on which list we look at for a travel advisory right now. So that's something to keep in mind. There's a statewide call for all public agencies tomorrow that DHHS in New Hampshire is hosting. I'm participating in that call with other school districts, fire departments, police departments, health agencies, hospitals, etc. So I'll know more tomorrow about the state and their response to what's happening. But from a longer term basis, not only for this issue, but for other issues like it, such as the power issue we had at Souhegan a couple of months ago, we're working on developing a plan for if school can't be held for some period of time. It's more of a longer term view, but it applies specifically to this case. So we're looking into all sorts of different things to support how school might need to happen if we can't use our school building for a period of time. So we're working on that internally, and I'll have more to report in the coming weeks. I pulled together a task force and created a task force for this specific purpose. We met today for a number of hours. We communicated last week throughout the entire week, and we're meeting twice a week for now until we feel we're on top of what we need to be on top of with this particular issue. So that's the biggest issue. There'll be further communication going out to the community likely tomorrow, just about some of these things. And there are other specific things that affect the other schools in the SAU, but kind of dealing with the things that are germane to Souhegan. So I'll pause there before I continue my superintendent's report, because I said a lot. Just wanted to see if the board had any questions, issues, or comments thus far. Good.
Is that covers, or is that just the one topic?
Pardon me?
Is that your only topic for your superintendent's report?
No, before I continue, I wanted to pause there in case there were other issues. All set so far? Next, the Souhegan Principal Search Committee. So Delaney, Amy, and I all serve on the Souhegan Principal Search Committee. We have had several interviews with candidates. We have, we're sort of, the process is open, meaning we're still receiving applications, so not everything is synced up. So we have one person that's moving towards the third round of the process, and two others that are in the second round that we're interviewing this week. So next Wednesday is when we'll have at least one person coming to the school to meet with groups of parents, students, teachers, community members, etc., that we'll be setting up this week for folks. And so anyone who's interested at home in participating, or any board members that are interested in participating that day, let me know. We'll make sure to include you in that process based on the space we have available. But, so at least one person coming for that. There might be as many as 3 at that during that process next Wednesday.
Adam, could you just explain the steps that folks have gone through?
Sure, thank you. So the first round, we did a screening round with folks where we just met them over Zoom for about 20 minutes. And that was meant not to be an exhaustive interview, but just to have early introductions with folks. And then the second round was a 1-hour in-person typical interview process that we had. And we did that with 5 people, I think it was. Maybe 4 or 5, yeah. And then the third round is the in-person where we're going to be introducing them to different groups of people to get feedback from other people. And then we'll decide if we have any finalists or not after that round. And if that is the case, then those names will be announced publicly who they are. And we'll have a chance for the entire public at large to meet them and have interactions with them. So that's kind of on the pipe. So that's that.
We're rolling.
All right, so just one more time. Public comment? Anybody? Public comment? No? Going once, going twice? Okay. Moving on. Community council update. Delaney.
So I just have a few short things. We had a school from Middletown, Connecticut come specifically to learn more about council. So they were at the school for a little bit, they came to a meeting. Then we are also looking at the bylaws and voting on changes to help update that. And then we will also be having a constitution interpretation committee rep be voted on in the spring sometime soon. And then lastly, we are wondering when a transcript will be available to bring to community council for us to review. And that's it.
Do we have anybody here who's on? So the AGR committee has not met, Laura.
No.
I think it is more involved. I've been added to the list, but I haven't attended any meetings. There hasn't been one.
There's an upcoming meeting.
There is.
So I know there's a draft on the website, but Adam might know more where that is, but I know there's a draft for the next class.
Okay.
But I don't know when that's actually going to go to community council for review. So do you know that, Adam?
Actually, Laura and I have been talking about that, and so that was part of my update later tonight. Is I was ready to bring that forward to community council for their review.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of mine.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Moving on. So in the packet here is the consent agenda. Everybody should have read it, obviously, before we come to the meeting. That includes the minutes and the policies and the memos, etc. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I had some changes to the minutes. And I'm sorry that this was brought late.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God, you guys are killing me right now. Everyone's gonna be able to slink off quietly. Oh my god, this is awesome. Thank you.
For all that you've done.
Oh, this will go right in my office.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, thank you. I love this because you know how much these mean to me. These mean a lot to me, so thank you.
Really nice.
Who got this done?
Amanda and Brian Allison.
Oh yeah, this is great. Thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. Not that I don't appreciate the swag either.
Diane would appreciate the gift card.
What's that?
Diane would appreciate the gift card.
Yeah, I apologize, but yeah, no, I'm sure she will. She deserves a little something. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. This is gorgeous, actually. What kind of wood is this, by the way, Laura?
I think it's maple.
Maple? Yeah. No. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. You can tell I don't take this. I don't do this stuff very well. Yep. All right. Okay. Consent agenda. You want to make some changes to the?
The January 27th meeting. The people in attendance, it's Matt Layton, Leighton, and Katie Dodge, Catiedodge. And I didn't have the line numbers, the version that I had did not have line numbers on it. From Fellow. Does anyone else have any changes to these minutes?
No. Truth, I did speed read it last minute.
So can I come back? Can I get the line numbers, Jen, and come back to her?
And that was on the 27th meeting, right?
Yeah.
You want to look at mine? Mine had line numbers on it.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Here.
Line number 116, it's slightly different than, you just listed that I was having a hard time with Empower and the scores of the competency, and my point was that Empower does not link between the assignment and the grade for the academic score you're getting. There's miscommunication within the Empower software that does not make that connection for the student or the parent. Is that better said?
Yeah.
Line number 192, Mrs. Stacy asked for clarification. Mrs. Stacy actually said that students should be able to earn a 4. And she was supportive of that effort. So, and then in Delaney Fox's presentation, add a line 228. In Delaney Fox's presentation, it's what's absent in these minutes. It was part of a slideshow, which isn't, obviously part of the minutes, but 70% of the 490 students were against changing the start times. and only 30% were in favor. 70% of the students play sports. 50% have clubs and jobs or clubs after school. 25% have daily jobs and other commitments after school. That's all I have.
That's it? Okay. Any other changes to the minutes? It can be from any of the meetings, not just January 27th. No? Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the amended minutes? Second? Amy?
Sure.
All in favor? All opposed? And David?
Dave abstains. So.
I abstained.
You abstained? Okay. You have that today?
Hey, Jim?
Yeah, David.
Don't you have a question to me about swearing in, that kind of thing?
I forgot you were on the phone. I do, yeah. Where are you, David? And are you by yourself?
Yes, I'm by myself. I'm in Colorado.
Was it unreasonable for you to be here in person?
Yes.
It was. Are you sure about that? Thanks, David. All right.
Record my lap.
I don't know if she's got that on the phone.
No, it's there.
It is there?
It's there.
All right. Okay, so next on the agenda, the first reading of policies KFA and JIC.
So these are from the policy committee. They've been reviewed and approved by the SAU board, and they're here for the first reading.
So has everybody on the board read these? Both read these? Okay. Questions, comments, feedback?
Not on that.
Nothing?
Not on that.
Not on that. Okay. All right. Anything you want to add about the policies before we move on? Okay. If there are no questions, we'll move on to the next topic. We're going to get an update next on strategy and grading and power, et cetera, et cetera. I'm guessing that you're going to give us a presentation, right? All right.
So this one passes down, 2 papers apiece.
Pass that over. Everybody? Yeah.
Keep on going. Any from the public, would you like a copy? I got 2. You can have them.
Do you want me to get an angle? Are you going to pull something up on the PowerPoint? Okay.
All right, so, and I apologize for the timing of not getting this to you in advance, but Principal Hagan was out for some period of time and is back today, and I wanted to confirm the dates of the parent meetings, which are listed down at the bottom here. So I'll just go through this for the purpose of people at home and people here. So we have included, first of all, the progress reports that were sent home, and there's I'll email the electronic version out that has a link to the sample progress report that was sent home already. And it explains how we will calculate honor roll for grade 9 students in June using the same criteria as grades 10 through 12 students. Our transcript is posted, the class of 2023 transcript is posted to our website. It includes all of the changes the board had recommended, and we think is consistent with what the board's directions were for the class of 2023. For the draft transcript of the class of 2024, as I mentioned before, here is our timeline that we have for the draft transcript. So it's first going to the faculty next Wednesday, and then in March 18th, there's for our 8th grade parents, these would be the parents that are first affected by this transcript. There's a parent feedback session to review that feedback, and it's at AMS, and we'll including all 8th grade parents are welcome to come and be a part of that. March 23rd, our AGR committee is going to provide additional feedback to us on the draft, and then it goes to executive board and community council for their review. Our hope is that in April and May, community council reviews, debates, and then formally approves, and then comes here to the school board for final approval in June, so that we can send a hard copy home to every 8th grade parent who's coming to Souhegan next year as freshmen. So that's the review process, which we think involves all of the relevant stakeholders and gets us squared away by June, but also gives community council plenty of time for the review process. So by the time this board has seen it, we will have gotten feedback from faculty, from parents, from the AGR committee, and most importantly from community council prior to the board receiving this information. So any issues with process so far? Does that process work for the board?
Have you reached out to 7th and 6th grade parents that would also be affected with your 2024 transcript? I'm just, because once you put it in place, I know you're not planning to change it immediately.
As I was saying it out loud, I was thinking to myself, why aren't we including other? Why don't we do that? I think we could absolutely just invite any AMS parent that wants to come. There's no reason to limit that to this 8th grade. That's a good point. Make a comment here so I don't forget to do that.
Anyone else?
Just to add to that, if you'd like to extend it to 6th and 5th graders at AMS, maybe the same thing up in Mount Vernon.
Include, absolutely. Why would we do that?
Might change now.
That's good. I know. That's a good point. Having a label as many people as possible is good.
Can I just clarify as I'm reading, Adam, the first sentence under transcript? So for the class of 2023, the transcript is similar to the current transcript, except that it includes a weighted GPA and does not include semester scores for completed courses, only final letter grades. So it does not include semester scores.
Correct, which we consider to be progress reports.
So for students in 10th, 11th, and 12th, are there semester scores for them?
Mm-hmm.
But are they being graded using maximum achievable scores?
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? If they get a grade at the end of the semester, but maybe they haven't had the opportunity to achieve the highest score, how does that align?
Well, that's where teacher discretion is most important in the process, and that's not a clean answer, but that is the answer in this transitional plan. So, most of our teachers are going the extra mile to make sure that they're not hurting students with those semester 1 grades. Mm-hmm. In fact, one teacher, every single assignment during semester 1, she graded using the old grading system and the new grading system, every single assignment, and tracked them all separately to make sure that the outcome was the same for kids. And in fact, she found that in the new grading system, if anything, it helped kids at the semester break. So we feel pretty good about that it works out, but it is part of the transition process.
Adam, why is that only for a couple of teachers, or not all of the teachers?
Why are they all not?
I was going to ask a similar question. David, I'm going to maybe paraphrase because I have a similar question. I think where David I think is going is I was going to ask you a question of have we had some kind of training or enculturation with the teachers yet? Because I think where David is going is that can we develop some level of consistency in terms of what best practice is?
Yeah, so I will say that just about everything the high school administration has been doing this year is supporting teachers in the transition process. Whether it's Empower training or specific grading support through this, they are knee-deep in it every single day. And to the detriment of some other things we're doing at Souhegan, frankly. It's our number one issue that we're focusing on. So there is much more consistency now than there was at the beginning of the school year even. and it's getting better all the time. But I can't tell you that it's perfect yet. It's a transition process, and it's a difficult implementation.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I feel like I've said broken record, but my biggest concern is the accuracy of the students' grades.
100%. Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
Where on the, you said you had a 2023 on your website?
We do.
Where is that shown?
I'll email you the document itself that has the link in it. Actually, you have the electronic
Yeah,
copy.
I found them. There's a 2023 and a draft 2024.
What would it be under?
I think it's under grading and reporting.
Hey, Jim?
Yes, David.
Adam, what is the motivation for the one teacher you commended that is grading everything both ways, traditional and CDE? Is it only for them, or are they following some request that the administration has made?
No, this particular teacher felt that she wanted to do sort of a fidelity check and make sure that her instinct was that it was not affecting students in a negative way, but for her own reassurance, she did it all on her own. And that was not something we asked anybody to do, because that's twice the work for every assignment for our teachers. So she did it on her own.
I would hope that could be put as a practice for a couple other, for various subject matters. In other words, if you do it for math, don't do it for 10 math teachers, but do it for maybe chemistry or, social studies or whatever, some different kinds of programs. So we have some idea whether there's consistency across subject matters and that kind of thing. Because to me, that could be one of the big differences. I realize there's a lot of work. I'm wondering if there's a way we could do that in a load lightning way or something. I don't know. I don't know what the solution really is, but this is a big change.
Yeah, I don't.
And, we don't have data that shows what this one teacher is trying to do, and it just seems to me that that's a very critical component of what needs to be understood and well understood.
Yeah, you can't see me nodding my head, I realized, but I'm nodding my head as you're speaking. So, yeah, I don't disagree, and I can look into how feasible that is as a spot check in different departments.
Yeah, I'm not asking for everybody to do it. I think we need to have some validation across subject matters, and we need to have some validation across some different teachers to see how this all works out.
Yep.
And this is a very big change. I think everybody agrees with that. And I think this just kind of ignoring the differences in how grading works, that kind of thing is. I just wish we could make sure that we do it right the first time and not have have to go back over and over and over again about this.
Agreed.
Thank you, David. Any other comments, questions, observations?
I have more on Empower, but
Yeah, we're just these two sections, then we'll move on.
I asked during Empower, I think.
Empower?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so if there's nothing, let's move on.
Let's see. In Empower, grade 9 students were given access to the portal in December, and that affected everyone grades K through 9 in the SAU. And then grade 10 students were given access to Empower on Friday, February 21st in their team classes. And then parents were sent an email today letting them know about student access to the portal. And then there's a future training date on March 11th for parents. And then we have 3 parent grading and reporting information sessions coming up in March. 2 are during the week and 1 is on a Saturday. So March 12th at 7:30, March 19th at 7:30, and then March 14th, which is a Saturday, at 9 a.m. We've already had a number of parents come in that have asked to come in, and we've had training sessions with them, but we're having 3 more during the month of March. Christine will be there for those, and as well as high school staff that will be there to answer questions and give training on the grading and reporting system, and to answer any questions folks have. We found that the more informal setting has been better for conversation and to answer specific questions from parents, as opposed to the formal. So it won't be in the auditorium, in other words. It's set up as more of a coffee for folks to interrupt and ask questions and keep going until they're comfortable. And then our teacher training sessions are listed down there for just for your reference. And I have more information on power after this as well.
Questions?
Yeah, Jim, I had one.
Yeah, David and then Laura. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, and you and I have had this discussion before, but there are a couple of practices of teaching that I get concerned about when I think about how to get reflected in CBE. And the first one is the propensity that we have, not propensity, but the training that we have put in place for teaching in teams. You know, the classroom is divided into 4 teams of maybe 4 kids or 5 kids in a team, and how that actually works to accelerate the learning of individuals. I don't get it, because if the team is locked into a program and schedule of their own. And the second issue is the whole idea of heterogeneous grouping. And heterogeneous grouping, as you know, so basically it doesn't let kids accelerate the way we want them to in CBE. And I'm curious about how we're going to get that clarified and understand how to make sure that these things that have been Sauhegan for generations now are going to contribute to CBE rather than deter the mission of CBE, which is to let students move at their own pace.
Agreed. So those are huge topics, actually. I'm not sure I can unpack all of those in the time we have, but grading and reporting is the first step. We have to be able to have a grading system that enables us to have kids move at their own pace, and this is what we're doing. This is part of the reason why we're doing it, is to have that platform for that specific purpose. So that this is, in my mind, sort of a building block or an enabling technology to get to that point.
David, I'm gonna move to Laura, and then I can come back to you. Okay, David?
Okay.
Laura?
Are you evaluating currently programs other than Empower for next year, as soon as next year? I know you're doing a lot of training on Empower, but this is, as George asked the last meeting, how much money have we spent on Empower? How much time have we spent training teachers on Empower? And I feel like, even as a parent, I'm pretty familiar with Empower, and I don't like what I see. Like, it's not a training issue.
Yeah.
It's the algorithms that it uses. It's the way that it doesn't connect the academic score clearly to what they're being evaluated on. So, and it's really just a tool for documenting student progress. What are the programs that are out there, and do they require the level of detail that Empower seems to bring?
The blue starting at the very top. Blue is, I am totally against mastery education or competency-based education, and I don't like Empower. So we're totally on the wrong page. Red is, I am not sure about mastery-based learning, but Empower is the wrong tool. Going all the way to the other side, the small orange sliver is, I'm totally on board with competency-based education and Empower. All right, so the blue and the orange, there are very few people that feel completely the opposite way. Okay, the green is, I'm totally on board with mastery-based education. I had some concerns about Empower, but now I'm okay with it. But the yellow, the vast majority is, I'm on board with competency-based education, but Empower is the wrong way to do it. So if you think about it, from yellow all the way around through green and orange, agree with competency-based education. And everyone from blue through red and yellow think Empower is the wrong tool.
So how many responses does this represent?
This is SAU-wide.
This was SAU-wide.
was 113 of our teachers.
Away from Sahigan.
60. So more than any other school, so he didn't answer the survey. So the conclusion I draw from this is that our faculty believes we're on the right track when it comes to competency-based education. Not everybody, but a vast majority. But we're on the wrong path when it comes to the tool we're using. Right? And I think that's a similar message we're hearing from students. I think that's a similar message we're hearing from many parents, not every parent, but most parents. And so I'm in a way encouraged by these results because it means the philosophical shift we've made is the right philosophical shift and supports that. But Empower is not working for us. That's what that tells us. And so what I'm doing this spring is pulling together a group of people throughout the SAU to investigate and pick the right grading platform for us for next year. Two things that have to go along with that. One is it's possible that we circle back to Empower and that we're using it the wrong way and that we use it a different way and it is the best tool. We can't, if we're being scientific about it, we can't say we're going to exclude anything at this point. The second issue is if we're moving to something different, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to move to that next year if we don't have enough time to train and implement it well. Right? That's a reality. We're going to try if that's the case, but we need to be aware of both of those things that go along with it. One software tool that we're investigating already is called Schoology, which is part of the PowerSchool platform, which we're changing to PowerSchool anyway. And so there's it seems to be makes some sense to investigate that particular tool. But we're very early in the process, and it's important that there's a representative group that's looking at this. I've met with the Faculty Senate at Sohegan already, their executive board. I've talked to many, many teachers, and in the survey, while I said 113 responses, there were extensive comments that really illustrate that same point. And teachers spent some time going through what they think and why, and how it's affecting students positively, negatively, how it's a challenge, how it's a good thing. So that's what we're doing this spring.
Then Amy and then George.
And we have to go to non-public in the next couple of minutes.
So
We're going to go public comment.
your timing, you're gonna start the process into this spring?
Right, yeah.
And when do you hope to have something, so, I'm just looking for general timelines, and any kind of milestones that you intend.
I'd like to have our work done in 6 weeks, which is mid-April, and by April vacation at the latest, which is quick. But
Yeah.
if we're making a change, we need time to do that. You can't wait till June to make a change.
Amy?
Okay, so if, worst case, we're not able to change for next year, then I think we absolutely have to address this issue of students receiving grades at the end of the semester when they haven't technically completed their course.
Yep.
So that to me just makes no sense.
I would agree.
So that just has to be fixed.
George?
Yeah, and just a quick question regarding the teachers that are on board with the whole mastery-based learning, but are probably against Ampliform. What context are they giving that? So in other words, what other options are they proposing? Other options, or because who's to say the next option's any better? I've seen this before, and companies that pull the plug to supposedly go on the next latest and greatest, and unfortunately that option wasn't much better. So is it more of, I guess I don't know where I'm going with this, is it something where, and I'm sure you guys have pursued every avenue how to go about this, but is it a training issue? Is it just a system-wide issue? Because again, that's my concern. You invest time as well as money and resources, but then you go to the next thing and you're kind of jump-starting the whole process all over again. You're almost taking 2 steps back.
That's exactly right. And that's why this committee has to be open to every possibility. And that's why I say that, because my instinct tells me that there's something better. I've never seen something better, so I don't know for sure that it exists.
You guys do with questions? I'll ask a really quick question, and then we're going to open up for public comment, but is it possible that the complexity of our CVE inputs into Empower caused a lot of the issue?
I think so.
Yeah.
That's why I say that we have to bifurcate between the software platform
Yeah.
and how we're implementing it.
Yeah.
That could be some of the
Because with this software, it requires a lot of customization on our end in terms of what our inputs are, and we have a lot in there. There's a lot of thin slicing.
Mhm.
So, all right, I was just curious.
Yep.
All right, opening up for public comment. I think we're going to go 5 minutes of public comment because we have to go to non-public tonight.
Twain Purvis, South Hollis Road, Amherst. First of all, I want to congratulate you, Jim, and thank you for your service. It's only 24 hours in a day, and I know we all want to do everything, but again, it's only 24 hours in a day, and the body needs more than 5 hours of sleep. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I would like for the concerns that I have, and I'll continue to address them, is that as the board, the governing body, think long and hard what you're doing here. I was a student, I'm not going to talk about me, but I was a student that was a 3-year student in high school. Would I have been able to get to this place in 3 years if I were restricted from performing, if I were restricted from showing what I had whenever there was an assessment, or limited to an effort of 2 or an effort of 3? No. And from high school, I managed somehow to go on to a powerhouse engineering college, one that was ranked in the top 1 or 2 in the nation at the time. But not about me, and I apologize for that. There's a guy named, some of you may know him, but I want to say this for a reason. Kenneth C. Frazier. Graduated North, grew up, I would say, not much different than me, a few years older than me. Grew up in North Philadelphia. Graduated high school in 16. What you guys are doing here will give him an opportunity to graduate from high school at age 16. Went on to Penn State. And from there, graduated Harvard Law, JD 1978.
You're talking about one of my heroes here. You're doing that on purpose?
I am doing that on purpose. I'm not sure everyone else mostly is, but what you're doing here, would this plan, what you're doing here, allow that young man and other young men, and incidentally, it doesn't matter where you go to college. It might not matter to some people, but it did matter to him, and it mattered to me, and it matters where I send my children, where I make it possible for them to go to college, encourage them to go. It does matter. I know there's a lot of chatter that it doesn't matter. It does matter. So consider what you're doing here. Your hero, could he come through this place and graduate at age 16 and go on to Penn State and also to Harvard? Consider what you're doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne. Anyone else?
Stephanie Grun, 5 Colonel Wilkins Road. So I think when you're looking at, this is my opinion, so we're looking at mastery-based learning, which I get. I like the idea that kids can learn at their own pace, move forward, learn something, move on. But we're trying to implement a grading system that accounts for that. But we don't have the learning that allows that to happen yet. So I'm concerned that no matter what grading system you try and put in that does the mastery-based learning, we don't have that learning system to move kids forward. Is always going to have a grading issue because kids are never going to be able to say, I'm moving ahead. So we're always going to have to put a letter grade or something on it that says, so I think no matter what grading system you look at, you're going to run into a problem unless you implement mastery-based learning first. So I'd rather see the emphasis put on that and then implement the grading system when you implement the mastery-based learning. I'd rather go back to a normal grading system that Sophia currently had.
One more comment, if that's okay. Courtney,
literally
that's okay.
30 seconds. I've actually done a lot of research on competency-based learning across the country and a number of schools who have implemented it and rolled it back. I'm preparing to share that information at some point. The interesting thing about it is not so much that they've rolled it back district-wide in a lot of these places, but that they've implemented it starting in 2012, 2013, 2014. They have rolled it back almost universally at high school level. It doesn't work. Elementary, middle school, works great. well and kids grow, test scores go up. They're showing at the high school level it doesn't work. It's too high stakes for our kids. It affects their college enrollment. It affects their proficiency scores and achievement scores on standardized tests and everything else. So it's very interesting to me because I have found a number of schools, probably, I don't know, 35, 40 districts that implemented it sometime in 2013, 2014 in that area. One that was sort of focused on as being, let's all follow this district. That district completely threw it out. All but 4 other districts have rolled it back at the high school level. So I just find it interesting. I don't know, and that's my discussion with Mr. Steele, is that I'm not against competency-based learning. I have to say, I don't think it belongs in our high schools.
Thanks, Gordon. Or Ms. Bohr.
Whatever.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay, unfortunately, I have to close the public comment because we have to go into non-public. So do I have a motion to go into non-public? Do I have a second? Okay, roll call.
Hoffman, yes.
Casey, yes.
Porter, yes.
Taylor, yes.
Foster, yes.
Manning, yes. David? Non-public?
Yes.